Once upon a time there lived a Yoruba warrior called Kanol. Kanol is one of the fierce warriors in the kingdom of Shango. Kanol and his fellow warriors have fought and won many battles and are well known throughout the southern plains for their bravery. Kanol is young, handsome, and well built with muscles. He is adored by all the young maidens of Shango. His name echoes throughout the southern plains and beyond. Kanol is well loved so much that many think he should be the next king of Shango. However, some of his fellow warriors think he is too weak to be a leader because they take his gentle and kind mannerism as his weakness. In the northern plains and across the deadly deserts cut with animal and human skeletal remains, through the dark mountains to the ancient forests lies an ancient city of Guba, where a long-forgotten mystical demons live. The inhabitant demons have heads shaped like bats with sharp protruding jaws with sharp teeth, and they stand on 2 feet like humans. Their hands, the short extension of their bat-like wings. In the air, when in flight, they look like giant bats with human form. The demons have always stayed within the confines of their domain. This is in honor of a signed treaty by the distant ancestors of both the northern and southern plains dwellers. In this treaty, amongst other stipulations, there would be no trespassing between the two dwellers to avoid the occurrence of any conflict. Since in the past such conflicts had resulted into calamity and sadness for both humans and demons for generations. The king of Shango, Baba Tand, once a great warrior himself, is now old and weak. He is bedridden and can hardly perform his duties as king. However, being a ruler of a mighty kingdom, he is always surrounded and guarded by the finest warriors of Shango. He has no heir to succeed him, so that makes his throne contestable by any eligible warrior of Shango when he passes. Shango has been ravaged by famine and disease. The king summons all the warriors and hunters to his mighty palace. He challenges them to go far and wide to look for herbs and flowers needed for the cure of the strange disease, as requested by the medicine man of the kingdom. And others to go in search of drought-resistant seeds to help the starving population due to lack of food production in the kingdom. The king promises handsome rewards to those who will succeed in their quest and contribute to the kingdom. Able-bodied men all over the kingdom form different groups and set off to perform their specific allocated tasks. Kanol and his group of warriors set off towards the northern plains. They are dressed in their warrior attires adorned with talismans on their upper arms, wrists, and some around their heads. Some painted their faces to look like their animal totems representing their various clans in the kingdom. They hold spears and shields made of wood and animal skins. They chant and sing war songs as they venture into the unknown across the northern plains. Meanwhile, in northern dwellings of Peki, the princess of the demon beings called Zara had just been married to a suitor called Zebu. They are having a good time in their fantasy world in their human forms. A bed made of a beautiful shiny white curtains surrounded by the beautiful greenery is set up. The rays of the sun penetrates through the foliage to shine on the bed. They are performing their mating rituals as they wait for the full moon to come out for them to go ahead and consummate their marriage. However, just before the full moon, an alarm-blowing horn went off and all the inhabitants of Guba had to run to evacuate the city and take cover. The king summons the entire inhabitants into their central auditorium. A messenger was called to come forward to tell the gathering of the approaching humans in their territory for the first time in generations. Meanwhile, Kanol and his colleagues are walking across the desert and spot the dark overgrown forest on faggy chains of mountains in a far distance. They assure each other that they are on the right path to their target destination, the forest where everything is possible, Peki. As they enter the forest, the flock of bats suddenly takes off and fly away in a chaotic manner as they have been awakened by the presence of the intruders. These are the gate watchers of the demon dwellings. They flew straight to the king's palace to report about the intruders entering into the boundaries of the forest. All demons were advised to stay indoors pending further investigation and instructions. The king asked for the whereabouts of his daughter and her husband Zuba. He dispatches some demon warriors to go fetch them. The attention of the warriors was drawn by the voice of Zara singing and dancing. With weapons drawn and watching from the bushes, the beautiful princess dancing under the moonlight. Her husband, Zuba, who is already transformed, flies towards her with wings wide open to grab her in his arms. Frightened by what they saw, one warrior mistakenly released his arrow, hitting Zuba in the chest and punches his heart. He thinks the demon is trying to attack Zara. Zuba comes crashing down and dies instantly. Zara dashes towards Zuba to investigate what has just happened. She grabs him as he transforms into human with the arrow at his chest. Zara bursts out crying and asking Zuba not to die. Realizing that she had lost him already, Zara looks up into the heavens and screams so loud that it triggers thunderstorm and lightning. She menacingly turned to look at the direction where the arrow had come from. The warriors had already took to their heels. The demons sent from the palace to come and fetch Zaria, and Zuba came to see what had just happened. They prepared a stretcher and carried the remains of Zuba to the palace. A funeral was organized for Zuba, and Zara had to mourn for agonizing 91 days. On the last of her mourning days, Zara examines the arrow retrieved from Zuba's chest. It is clearly inscribed the name, Warriors of Shango. She smells the arrow and had a vision of a warrior drawing and releasing the arrow. She took off her white veil and tossed it away. She stands up straight, stretches her hands open and transforms into an ugly-looking bat-like creature. She swings at the wooden pillar of her room, leaving a gruesome fingernail scratch marks on it. Meanwhile, in Shango, situations have improved. Farmers happily cultivating their farms, the sick are happily getting access to treatment, and the market is full of economic activities. At the king's palace, the king sits on his throne and enjoying the dancing and drumming, celebrating the achievements of its citizens. But to the warriors, they knew there was a looming danger ahead. They knew the demons will not forgive them for trespassing and the murder they had committed. But the question is when and how is going to be like. One night the moon is full and the streets of Shango is bustling with activities. A loud screeching cry is heard across the horizon. Swarm of flying creatures is seen flying towards Shango. People stand watching in shock at the sight. Some take off running to take cover. The reality came to bear when the demons started attacking people and tearing them to pieces in the streets. People running and shutting their doors and locking themselves up in their houses. But the demons can see and smell wherever an Amo is kept in Shango. They attacked and killed most of the warriors, but Kanol fought gallantly, killing a lot of demons in the process. Zara observes him from afar and is surprised and admires the gallantry of this warrior. Zara orders Kanol to be captured alive. He was pinned down and Zara came to have a close look at the handsome and brave warrior. She smells him and informs him that the king is past and that he is to become the next king. He must take the first woman that may come to his door the next morning as a wife. But this he must not tell a soul, or that will spell doom for him and the entire Shango. Kanol agrees and Zara asks for his release, and all the demons fly away towards the horizon as they came. The following day, in the morning, Kanol had a knock at his door. He opens the door and he is greeted by a smiling young, exceptionally beautiful nurse. She comes to take care of his wounds. She is introduced as Shanda by two maids from the palace. Kanol immediately fell in love with her. Shanda takes care of his wounds and tells him she has to rush back to the palace as the king had passed. At the palace, Shanda is working with a medical doctor who had come from a foreign land to take care of the ailing king. But king had already passed before they could start treatment. So Shanda was sent to Kanol's house to check on him since he is the obvious choice as the next king. Time passes and Kanol is crowned king. He marries Shanda and she becomes his queen. They ruled the kingdom of Shango for 10 years and had 2 kids, a prince and a princess. Shango became very prosperous, but Kanol is not a happy king. He constantly has sleepless nights. He keeps having nightmares about the recent past events, the shooting of the demon in the forest, the attack by the demons, and the promise he made to the demon. And he kept asking himself, who is Shanda and where does she come from? Is she a spy sent by the demons to enslave him for the rest of his life? How long will it be for him to be able to ask her to help him clarify his thoughts about her? However, anytime he tries to bring up the issue to her, Shanda will immediately change the topic and divert his attention to some other issues. One night Kanol woke up from his nightmares and went to sit at his garden to drink himself back to sleep. He drank so much and he lost control of himself. He started yelling and smashing bottles on the floor. Shanda came rushing to see what is going on. Kanol turned to her and gave her a passionate hug. He said to her, "You are the most beautiful woman on earth and I am proud to have you as my wife and my queen." Shanda assures Kanol that she knows that and also said to him, "You are the most handsome man on this earth and the best king ever." Kanol is not impressed and he stressed to her that she does not understand why he had to tell her what has been bothering him for so long. Shanda again tries to change the subject but he yells at her saying, "Listen to me," shoving her off as she tries to hold him. He looks at her sternly and asks her, "Have you by any chance met someone or something called Zara?" "Don't," Shanda tries to stop him. But Kanol grew more suspicious. "Oh, you know her," he concluded. "She sent you to come and take control of my life and that of my people, right?" he asks. Shanda turns around and sees 2 of their maids at the entrance of the garden witnessing what was going on. "Please stop it," Shanda begged Kanol, but he continued, "That ugly demon sent you, right?" pointing accusing finger at Shanda. "You came to my door just like she said, and I had to make you my wife," he continued. "Enough," with a coarse tone of demonic voice Shanda yelled at him as she turns into Zara, the ugly beast he clearly remembers. Kanol moves back and stumbles in fear and disbelief. She says to him, "You humans can never and will never ever keep your promise. You trespassed onto our land, stole our crops and committed murder, but I forgave you. And the only price you have to pay is keep one single promise and you fail." He pleaded for forgiveness and asks what will be the fate of their children when she kills him. The 2 maids at the entrance witnessing all that was unfolding were their kids in disguise. They wanted to know if their father will be heartless enough to expose their identity to anyone. They also turned into the creatures and flew away as their mother strikes their father to his demise. Zara flies and joins her flying children in mid-air and together they flew towards the horizon. If you enjoy this story, please like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel.